So we've sketched in really lightly our composition, and it doesn't have to have all of the details that you think it might need at this point because the paint is going to make up for it. So I've roughly got my idea in. With watercolour paint, you need to start in the background and work your way forward. I also need you to use the lightest colours first, and you can use something called washes. So you can just paint water on. Can you see the water glistening? And then you can actually add the colour really lightly. Instead of adding colour straight away, you can actually just add the colour to the water. And that makes a really cool kind of cloud effect, but you want it to be light. You don't want to go straight in with a really dark colour, otherwise it's going to not balance your composition. Then you're going to start with the next part, which is the mountain. So I'm going to do this slightly darker, and it does not matter that I've gone over that tree because we can layer over the top of it. With watercolour paints, you build it up in layers and you wait for it to dry, and then you build some other layers on top. So I'm going to go in with my darker greens here. And yeah, it's kind of spilling everywhere, but that's okay. Watercolour's really forgiving. Bless you. Now the reason you've got two squares here is that you need to give that a moment to dry, because I can't work wet on wet very successfully with this kind of picture that we're doing. So you can actually go, okay, I'm going to leave that and I'm going to work on my next composition, which might be in warm colours. So again, we start with the lightest, we put a wash on, and then we build up the colour. So if you're going to trying to do a sunset or something like that, you can do that. I'm just going to sketch in my horizon line, and I might put in a little river there. And just start with those light colours. I can always build colour up to darker, but I can't go from dark to light very easily. That's why I'm saying work in a wash, which is just that mixture of watery paint. Now that this one's dried off a little bit more, I can actually kind of go back over here and start adding in, and it does not blend as much as it would have if I just used wet on wet. So there's a really beautiful kind of watercolour effect with the river, and I can go, okay, great, I'm happy with that. I can add something back into the sky. I can also use a tissue or something to dab. I'm just going to use my sleeve, but you guys have to use a tissue because you guys are sensible, not like me. And we can layer in some more details like this. Once it's completely dry, that's when you might think about putting in your tree. See what happens when it's not completely dry? Have a look, it's going completely muddy and horrible. That is why it's really important to wait to do your foreground last and your background first, because otherwise you get a big muddy mess. Is everyone feeling a little bit more confident? Great, thank you. You can get started.